So, welcome to the third Dam Removal Europe Cafe. And this is an amazing event that joins fish and river lovers from all over the world in an hour of fun and experience sharing. And I have to tell you, it's such an honor to be the host today, as I truly feel like this is such a one-of-a-kind approach to river restoration and river conservation, because I feel like these cafes actually dive deep into the heart of the matter in such a light and fun way. I'm Rita, I'm from Portugal, ANP WWF, and I'm bringing you this edition from Lisbon, Portugal, where we hosted the Dam Removal Europe seminar last May. And I'm a little bit overwhelmed to be following on the footsteps of Chris Bowser and Urena. So let's see if together we can make this the best DRE Cafe ever. In order to do that, I'm going to take you on a river journey with the help of my interviewees. And today we have people from Portugal, from Estonia. We're going to dive deeper into the heart of Brussels with the help of a member of the European Parliament, and raft down the craze that it is Dam Busters, the movie, with its director. Also, we're going to find, and I cannot keep this as a surprise to myself, we're going to have an interview with the Finnish actor Jasper, who some of you might know from his environmental and activist work, but also from movies like Black Klansman or the show Vikings. And I cannot wait to show you all of these amazing people. Just a few quick notes from before we dig in. All of you are muted by default. So if you have any questions along the way, feel free to just add them into your chat box. And throughout the cafe, we will also be using the chat box to give you some extra information, some links to the work that we're doing, the work that we're seeing. So be sure to check that along the way. We will also be using Mentimeter to do a few polls, as this will be an opportunity to engage with all of you guys. And we will actually start with the first one right now. So let me see if I have my partner in crime here. Neja,
yes,
Neja, are you there?
Here I am. Hi. Hello,
Hi.
everyone. How are you?
I am good. How about you? Welcome.
Thank you. I'm good too. It's autumn already, so let's see if we can get cozy and see some movies. Let's go into the first question. I ask you all to go to menti.com and type in a code 1450-4282. The code and the link to the website are also in the chat box. So you go to menti.com. And there you'll be asked for a code, and you type down 1450-4282. The code is also in the chat box. That will be the first question for you. And yeah, can we see the first questions? I know what it is.
I'm not sure what the first question is, so I would love to see it up on the screen. Okay, have you heard of
I see the problem is with the code, so folks, let's do it together. There's another code on top, so in the screen now you can see the code is 8415-4253. So please use the code on the screen.
Perfect. So the first question that we have today is, have you ever heard of or already seen Dam Busters, the movie? Not too bad. What do you think, Neja?
I did.
Yeah, but not too bad about the answers, right?
Oh yeah, that's definitely good. So count us in and it's even better.
So I'm guessing that all of you must have a ton of questions to for the director that will be here with us today.
Fantastic.
Let us see. Don't forget to type them into the chat box so I can ask them later on. And doesn't work still. Okay, and you've seen the documentary. Perfect. We can maybe count that in as a yes.
Yeah, cool. The majority.
Okay. Huh? So the majority of us, of the people joining today, have seen the documentary. Oh, that's going to be a challenge for me. I have to ask more engaging questions then. Haha. Let's see. Perfect. Neja, I don't know if you want to also take this moment to thank our sponsor today.
I think I'll leave this to the very end and have a little bit into, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, great. So we do have to start, and I have such an exciting thing to share with you today, because we are very honored to host a great cartoonist, illustrator, and graphic designer, Seppo Leinonen from Finland. And Seppo has studied forestry and fine arts in Helsinki, and he creates these amazing pro-nature cartoons that you can admire at his website, and you can also check out his work in the chat box. We'll have a link there. You've probably seen them a bunch of times in either in either Politico or in WWF campaigns and in other campaigns throughout Europe. So please do have a look at his work so you'll recognize it. And today, during the cafe, Seppo will be drawing a special cartoon, which he will share with us at the end. And obviously, it will have something to do with what we'll be discussing. So Seppo, welcome to you. Are you there?
Hello, here I am.
Hi. Welcome. Please do share a little bit more about yourself.
Empty paper there, so I try to do something.
Perfect. Tell us a little bit of what your expectations for today are.
This sounds very good. There are many good presentations, and also it's nice to hear about the European Parliament and what they are doing there. And also, of course, this Dambusters movie is quite interesting, this film. Yes, Jasper has done a lot in Finland, for example. He has been very brave and very active in Finland with dam busting and also with protecting migrating fish stocks. Okay. He has been very loud and great voice here. So it's very nice, and I'm very happy to see what happens. Thank you.
Good. And Seppo, just tell us a little bit more of how do you do this live cartoon that you're gonna do today? Can you run us a little bit through the process?
I have made some plans beforehand, because otherwise it's very difficult to find anything funny, but I also listen what's coming, and I try to catch something from it, like you go to the river and try to catch a fish. Sometimes you get, sometimes you don't.
Absolutely, that's true. So if any of you are interested, just check his work at www.seppo.net. So you'll see, and you'll probably recognize a bunch of it.
So bye.
Bye, Seppo. We'll talk later on at the end.
Yes.
Looking forward to it. So, as you may all know, the European Commission has recently presented a proposal for a nature restoration law, and this will be the first continent-wide comprehensive law of its kind. So it's a key element of the EU biodiversity strategy, and will call for binding targets to restore degraded ecosystems, in particular those with the most potential to capture and store carbon, and to prevent and reduce the impact of natural disasters. Given that about 80% of populations of river species have decreased in the last 50 years, this law is a great opportunity for restoring wetlands and rivers and protect all species. So we feel like this is an important issue that we all need to be talking about. We also know that about 80% of member states' national laws come from European directives, and that most member states are not yet aligned with this vision of restoring nature through river connectivity. So that's why it's so necessary for the nature restoration law to include an ambitious framework for the restoration of free-flowing rivers, because it will be an opportunity to accelerate dam removal as a measure of river restoration in all of Europe. So I'm here to present you and to kind of liaise to the person that can talk a little bit more about this piece of legislation and the opportunities it opens up. And as such, I'm very honored to greet into this cafe Progressive Slovak MEP, Michal Vizak from the Renew Europe group. And Michal, welcome. We've met each other previously in Brussels in an event. Oh, wow. There's lights over there.
Yes, finally. I've been out of electricity for all the day, and the picture was actually very dim right now, just some seconds ago. So I'm very happy that you can see me in a full light. Yeah. What a nice surprise.
I think it's a sign. It's basically a sign that you're bringing light into this matter of the European Restoration Law, right?
Let's hope for that.
So just to give a little bit of context, you've been a member of the European Parliament since 2019. You serve as a member of the Committee on Environment, Public Health and Food. You also are on the Committee on Petitions. So I would like to just start and talk to you a little bit about what you think the potential of the nature restoration law is in Europe, both for Europe itself and for river restoration.
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. Well, I'm super happy that we have actually such a proposal on the table right now, because it's frankly unprecedented. Such a law haven't been around from the very beginning of the European Union, so to say. Mm-hmm. So it's really good to actually have the possibility to work on such a case, especially when we consider how ambitious it might be, and if we are actually going to achieve that it's going to be implemented in an effective way, it really should be able to make the difference. Which should actually go the line that we should set our rivers free after decades of being fragmented and disconnected by our activities. We finally actually realized that this has to stop and that we have to restore at least part of our rivers. Otherwise, their destiny will be very, very dark, and it already has happened. You have mentioned the desperate situation of the migratory fish, which is actually the sadly outcome of the current state of the rivers, which definitely, we are actually the culprits who made it that bad. So it's also our role or our goal or our, let's say, duty to actually tackle this problem and make the situation better. So I'm very, very looking forward for this restoration law. We have expected it really like until the very day of the publishing of the proposal from the Commission. We were not sure how ambitious it will be. The ambitions were not granted. If we are talking about forests, if we are talking about wetlands, if we are talking about rivers, we had some idea what the outcome might be, but it was never granted that it will be actually ambitious enough. So I think that the outcome was quite satisfying at the end. But saying that, there are also still risks involved, which could actually, if not treated properly, the law might not be effective enough, and it will be only formal. So there is a risk involved, and
let's talk a little bit about that. So not only the risks, but the possible shortcomings of this law as well. So do you foresee any? What are your expectations in terms of that?
Yeah. If you actually perceive it from my perspective, like you always see that the text is not perfect or is not that effective as it could have been if there wouldn't be too much resistance to it. Actually, not to improve the situation, but to keep the status quo. And I have actually indicated such tendency already in the proposal from the Commission. It might be not connected directly to the rivers or the goals related to the rivers, but if you, for instance, see the position that is regarding the restoration of peatlands, for instance, then you see that a large portion of the peatlands have been excluded from the proposal, from the Commission proposal, and that goes especially for those peatlands that are situated inside of the forested area. So you are only restoring the peatlands that are currently being agriculturally used and in that way degraded. But the degraded peatlands that should be restored in the forested area are excluded from the Commission's proposal. And that is, for me, a very clear indication that there is some hidden agenda, not an official agenda behind that text. And some people might not like actually the more ambitious way of restoring really the large portion of peatlands that we may found in forests, and such issues might be also related to maybe river restoration. Like, we really have to pay a good attention to what we propose and try to improve the Commission's proposal, because it really can be improved.
Perfect. So what do you think the current status of the piece of policy is, and how does the process look to getting it written into law? Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah. So right now we have the Commission's proposal. It's a solid piece of paper, and our duty in the Parliament is actually to study it and improve it if we feel so, or amend it in particular paragraphs and recitals and all that stuff. So if we are going to talk about the rivers, I really appreciate the goal of setting or freeing 25,000 of kilometers of rivers free from barriers or whatever. What I'm actually a little bit concerned about is that this goal is related mainly to the obsolete dams that should be removed, which is great tool to actually improve the connectivity of the rivers. But I'm quite concerned that it might not be enough, because if you only concentrate on the removing of the obsolete dams, you actually have to skip those that are being actively used and act in the same way as the barriers for the rivers. And in that regard, I'm talking mainly about the big rivers, like Danube River, where there are these huge dams being built or that have been built in I don't know, in 1970 or so. We are talking about the Iron Gate in Romania. We are talking about Gabčíkovo in Slovakia, which is very effectively disrupting the migration routes of, for instance, the Danube sturgeon, which right now is critically endangered and is really facing the extinction because of these barriers. So I think that if this restoration should be a success, we should not only focus on the obsolete dams. We have to deal with them, but we also have to focus on those dams that are really unpenetrable right now for the migratory fish. And we should somehow actively try to improve the situation, making some passages or whatever tools there might be at our disposal, and simply apply them, because otherwise the fish will be gone for good.
And we already have very successful cases in Europe. So I'm going to give you a challenge now. Can you tell us in 3 words or less what we can do as a civil society to get our voices heard in this matter?
Yeah, that's I can't say in 3 words probably, but maybe the first rule is to be loud, to be really heard of, and to make our politicians know that you actually care a lot about this issue. So whatever you can do to contact your MEPs or whatever decision makers you may have addressed for, go and contact them, write a letter, shoot a short movie, make some public campaigns, just for us to be sure that you actually care about this issue, and that we have to really also care about the issue. Because I would say right now, majority of the MEPs probably don't even know that there is some problem with the migratory fish, or might not know, or might not care. So yeah, let's really raise the awareness.
Raise your voice. That's it, right?
Raise your voice.
Raise your voice. Good.
Fight for the rivers. Be loud. Be there.
Fight for the rivers. I also like that.
Yeah, meet us, write us, call us, whatever. Just let us know that you really care, and we should care accordingly.
Absolutely, I love that. I think that's such an important message, Michelle. We do have a question from the audience. So the question is: water quality included in the proposal? Do you know that?
Whether there's a water quality included?
Yes, if water quality. I'm imagining that this question is related to monitoring probably, or either monitoring or maybe new standards, but
well,
as a whole, is
frankly
water
speaking,
quality included in the proposal?
Frankly speaking, I don't know right now. And I would actually doubt that this might be included, because this is covered by the Water Framework Directive probably. And this is not a law which probably will go directly for the restoration. But well, in order to have a good restoration, you have to understand whether you are successful or not. So a good or high quality monitoring is very much needed and should be included in such law. So I will check for that. I don't know right now, but maybe it would be also a good idea to include it if it's not there. So I can work on that as well, just to be sure that it's somehow reflected in the law.
Okay, that would be wonderful, and just write us back and we'll let everyone know as well. Michelle, that's the only question that we have for now. Thank you so much for your time tonight, and hope to see you soon.
Well, it's a pleasure, and thank you for inviting me. Yeah, good luck with your effort.
Thank you. So if you have anything that you want to know about the EU nature restoration law, you can just check the links that we've put on the chat, where you can visit not only the law, but you will also have the link for the Renew Europe group, and you can follow on this matter. So right now, how about a music break to celebrate the potential of this new law for scaling up dam removal in Europe? I think.
Sorry, Rita, music.
Yeah.
Cesar is not available. He had a problem, and our guitar artist was not able to make it because of a personal problem. So sorry about that. Just last minute. God. Yeah, so we have to skip it. Sorry about that, Rita.
No worries, absolutely no worries. So we will skip the entire slideshow, Neja?
Yeah,
perfect. Well, that's not a problem whatsoever, because we are actually going to go to my homeland, and we're going to go to Portugal and just check on Sylvia. Sylvia, are you there?
Hi.
Hi, hola. How are you today?
Hola, very well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me, and it's a great pleasure to be here today.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Sylvia. She's a researcher at the University of Évora and Mare, the Marine and Environmental Science Center, and she's project manager of the Life Agda project. This project seeks to eliminate or mitigate hydromorphological pressures in the Volga River basin to achieve a good ecological status. And one of the actions taken towards that goal was to remove barriers, which is something that we don't have a lot in Portugal. Actually, it's almost unheard of. So Sylvia, I think I want to know all about this, but we only have a short time. So I'm going to start with, why did you choose the Volga River basin?
So the Volga for us was an obvious choice because it's a catchment, a river basin with a great ecological importance for migratory fish, as it's the home of several valuable species. In this basin, we can find species with high socioeconomic value in the region, like the sea lamprey or the Alice shad, but we also have twait shad, sea trout, the European eel, thin-lipped grey mullet, among many other resident and migratory species. So also the Volga, together with the Mondego Basin to the south of this, is of enormous importance for the maintenance of shad populations occurring in this area. They are vital here in the central part of the country, and this is one of the last viable shad populations still occurring, so it's very important to protect them. And with the interventions we've planned within the scope of Life Agda, both removals and fish passes, we have nearly completed. We are starting the works. We have started the works and we'll continue them in the next month. We will open up about 30 kilometers of river stretches, over 30 kilometers river stretches, both in the Agda and the Alfusqueiro rivers, two main rivers in this basin. And this will allow migratory fish to reach more suitable spawning and feeding grounds, and be found once again where they once were abundant. So to give you an idea of the importance that migratory fish have here, the presence of this species was one of the reasons, was behind one of the reasons to designate the River Voga as a site of community importance. So there was
that's amazing.
No way of not having this done here.
That's absolutely amazing. And I'm guessing that it has an impact not only on migratory fish, but the community itself, right?
Yes, yes, many resident species there that benefit from it.
Absolutely. But not all barriers will be removed, right? Some will be modified from what I gather. Is that it?
Yes.
Why
exactly.
is that?
Well, we have removed all those that were obsolete, and some of them that weren't even there legally. You know, I don't think this is exclusive to Portugal, but here we have a way of working things that you get to a river and you want to take a dip there and you want to take a bath.
Yeah.
So you put a little weir there, you gather some stones, and then in the next year you will build up on that and again, and suddenly you have a weir, you have a new obstacle. So we found many of those, and those were removed with no opposition. And regarding the others, we talked to the owners, we explained them why there was no sense on keeping those weirs there. They understood it was vital to the fish populations there, so there was no opposition. And the rest of the obstacles, they were actually actively used. So to give you an idea, one of them is crucial for water supply to local communities. We have 2 weirs that are used in river parks, and people use those 2 places as river beaches all summer, and it's very crowded. And then you have another one that's used for field irrigation, so we couldn't remove that one too. The only one that we choose to have a fish pass, although it had no active use, was the last weir in the intervention area. And for that, we chose to have in this case, a bypass channel, because we realized that if we would go and remove the weir, it would compromise the stability of the old mill house that still stands there. And so we chose to leave it there. And the weir itself, it's really interesting to look at. So we opted for that solution. So everything that stays there, it's because it has an
serves a purpose, right? And it serves a
still
purpose.
in use. And we opted for the fish pass solutions because one of the premises Life Agda stands in is to compatibilize uses. We don't want to remove the use people are used to have.
Of course.
More or less important, doesn't matter. If you remove all that right that people feel to have had all their lives, they will oppose to the solutions. So.
Of course, definitely. And you want a community to be on your side. Yeah, you have to work with them, not against them. So exactly. How many barriers have you removed so far?
We removed 8 barriers so far, all of those that were foreseen in the project. The most notable were 2 old weirs, one with 3 meters high, and the other, it was the biggest in the intervention area, and the other one it was about 1 meter high, but still it caused a barrier effect, and the fish could only pass through it if there was a flood event or something that would raise the water level. Otherwise, the fish would be standing there.
So I don't know exactly when you started this project. So have you been able to see any changes or improvements so far? How long ago was it?
So we started the project 5 years ago, but as you know, you're a local, you know how things work here, and everything moves so slowly when you have to get permits and you have to submit projects. And it took us about 3 years just to get the permits. Then the public tenure for the construction, it took us almost the entire lifespan of the project. We got the okay from the commission to have another 2 years. So we will be finishing not this year, but in 2024. And this year we had a monitoring period shortly after the removals, but it's too soon to see any changes. So we are hoping to see those changes next year in the next summer monitoring, because by then we will have the fish passes installed too.
Perfect. Okay, that's amazing. And yeah, it's a struggle getting permit in this country to do this. We're struggling with the
so
same.
Slow.
We already mentioned that we have to work with the community and not against it. So can you tell us a little bit more about the involvement of the local communities in this project? Did you do any activities for schools? Did you have any exhibits? Did you have workshops with them? How did you get them on board?
Yes, of course. So we have involved local communities since the beginning of the project. Every summer, well, with the exception of the summer of 2020, for the reasons we all know, we ran activities with children on the riverside. These are children that take part in the holiday program held by the municipality. So every year they held this program, and we introduced the Life Agda activities in that holiday program. And in those days, we talk about the fragmentation of the river, why it's important to set rivers free, why it's important to maintain the integrity not only of the river, but the riparian gallery, because most of them aren't aware of that too. And we always do a little electric fishing, because that's the technique we use to monitor our river stretches. And they always stand there and see what fishes we are catching and identifying the species. Really fun. But we also have activities that we bring to schools. So we called it, well, non-surprisingly, the river goes to school. And, yeah, and this is for children from 6, 7 to 14, 15 years old. Yeah, and they have a lot of fun too. And every year we also have volunteering activities and workshops. We are also putting up informative panels in the construction site so that people know what's going on, what are those solutions for, how we're managing the problems therein. And next year we plan to open an exhibition, a permanent exhibition about the project in a lovely building you have to visit on the left bank of the river Agda. And the building has a privileged location, so we should expect many visitors to know more about our project, the river, the fishes, and everything.
Amazing. And we already put the link for the project in the chat box. So everybody, if you guys want to know more about the project, please go and check the website. If you have any questions for Sylvia, now is the time to write them down, to make them. And Sylvia, this is an amazing work that you're doing. It's kind of pioneer in Portugal. So well done. I'm really, really happy to hear all of this case.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of this. Thank you for your time. So I think that we can move on to our next process. But, oh, dear Lord, wait, we have to interrupt our program for some breaking news. And I'm looking at Pau. Pau, are you on the field? Pau, are you there?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are interrupting our program to share with you some exciting news. The Open Rivers program is inviting expression of interest for project submissions for the dam removal preparatory and demolition projects. The proposal must be submitted online via the Progress application portal by December 9th of this year. Next, the turbines of the Lanasinkoski power plant in Finland, which became operative in 1911, finally stopped working this past July 31st, and the demolition of its 8-meter-high power plant dam was executed during the following month. The dam had been purchased by South Karelia Recreational Area Foundation in 2017. Last week, there was a special media event organized to show this section of river totally free. Next year, the last barrier, Ritakoski Dam, will be removed, and the full length of Hitalanjoki River will be completely free-flowing after more than a century. In addition, Happy Fish statue arrived to the special media event on time. Coming up next, International River Symposium will take place in Vienna between the 27th and the 30th of this month. This year's theme is Journey to resilience, communities, climate, and biodiversity. In addition, a free-flowing webinar organized by Wolfish Migration Foundation and Wetlands International on behalf of the Removal Europe Coalition will occur during the symposium to present ways to protect rivers and restore their longitudinal connectivity. Registration is now open. And next, and important, in the historic Swedish province of Västmanland, a few days ago, the biggest dam of the province nearly collapsed. Now, Melan Energy hydropower company, who owns the dam and power station, has not decided yet if they want to rebuild the dam or remove it. The regional government calls for any scientist who would be interested in monitoring the case. This is all for now. Thanks, everybody, and back to you, Rita.
Thank you so much, Pau. Oh, well, that was a short break of news, but very important one. And I think that we have to go to our very dynamic duo that we have here with us today, which is award-winning filmmaker and director of the Dam Busters documentary, Francisco Campos Lopez. Francisco, are you there? No, not yet. Ah, he is. Good. But we also have with us Finnish actor, fly fisherman, environmentalist, and entrepreneur Jasper Pääkkönen, who, apart from his countless roles in national and international TV series and films, is one of our river heroes presented in Dam Busters. Welcome to you both, guys. I'm so proud to have you on this cafe today. Thank you so much. So I think I'm going to start with Jasper, Francisco, if you don't mind. I'm going to start with Jasper because I also know that he has to be leaving soon, and ask you what kind of ignited your passion to protect and fight to restore free-flowing rivers?
Well, I'm a fly fisherman first and foremost. All other titles that I associate myself with, like, you know, being an actor or anything that's work related, is completely secondary. And throughout my life, fly fishing has been my most important passion. And you can't really enjoy fly fishing without free-flowing rivers and without healthy fisheries. And when I was about 18, 19, 20 years old, I started understanding that my home country, Finland, isn't all that great when it comes to the state of rivers and the state of fisheries. And then little by little, my passion for fly fishing started growing more into a passion for fighting for a better future for our rivers and fisheries.
Absolutely. And I think that's also a great segue for Franco to talk to us about why dam removal. Why did you pick up this topic, and why in Europe? Did you have any particular sources of inspiration?
Well, I was born in the south of Chile, in an area in the northern tip of Patagonia. So I grew up with beautiful rivers, pristine rivers, places that you have to feel so little in these areas, right? So I grew up wired to be around rivers and protect rivers, you know, and always try to spend some time and do whatever I could to protect them, right? Because I was raised that way. So then I realized that the narrative in my native South America was, let's build dams, let's build huge dams, right? But 14 years ago, I moved to the US, you know, I became American, and I started working more on rivers, and I learned about dam removal was a thing, right? And coming from South America, with an area that everyone wanted to build massive dams, and being here in the US and remove them, made me like start getting aligned with more people in that world. And I became acquainted with Herman, with Pau, and that made me realize that Europeans were very, very, very like excited with the whole idea. And you guys have rivers that they are being in some sort of like disturbance since the last couple centuries, right? So it was like important to me to start with a place that has a lot of potential in Europe. So that's where my motivation comes from.
Yes, because I didn't mention it before, but you're based out of the US. Your company, right? Magan Entertainment is based out of the US. So it's kind of it's interesting that you picked Europe to do this work, and it's also amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have to go back to Jasper. I have to ask you, most of the people here with us today have already watched Dam Busters, but I would like you to just share what's the message that you kind of picked up throughout this movie. What would you say was the real message behind it?
Well, I'm just being interviewed in the film for what I've been working on in Finland, and so I think Franco is the right person to talk about the message on a wider scale. But for me, obviously, when the title of the film is Dam Busters, I immediately knew that it's something that I would like to be a part of, because documentaries have a huge power and huge possibility and opportunity to change people's minds. The whole dam removal movement, if you may, in Finland started when I set up a meeting together with our previous Minister of Environment, current Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Samsa from the World Wildlife Foundation in Finland. And we showed Damnation, the documentary, to the Parliament of Finland. And then we printed DVDs. This was back in the DVD era. We printed DVDs and sent a DVD of Damnation to every single one of the Parliament members with a personalized letter asking them to watch it. So even for the ones who didn't come to the screening, there was a DVD sent. And pretty much everybody in Finland attributes that as the starting point to the whole dam removal movement. So I think documentaries have an enormous power, and I was hoping that Dam Busters can follow on the same footsteps.
Definitely, and I do think it will have that impact, or at least I have that hope. And I'm kind of bouncing that question back to you, Franco. What do you think is the message, or the important message behind the movie?
Yes, so a little sideway. I want to thank Jasper for all his time in the film and supporting all these events. He's such a rock star for rivers, and I know that he's a busy guy, and I appreciate his time a lot. So just a little detour. But now going back to your question, I think the most important thing is to have exactly the phenomenon that happened in Finland. People getting excited about it. Back in the DVD world, it was amazing. Now we can probably copy Jasper's idea and do like Blu-ray world, right? And do Blu-rays or thumb drives or things like that. But the most important thing is that that you watch a film in any area and you start realizing, okay, what rivers do I have around me? What kind of obstacles are there, and all the health of the river. So just one concept is really goes down to a simple notion of inspire you. It's simple as that. It's not easy because we had to increase our reach to create more awareness and have the film reach more screens and more households. And we are in the process. So everyone in this call is in a way an ambassador of the film. Can talk to us about showing the film or even like small screenings, at a small venue or a school are amazing. It doesn't need to be always cinema. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just inspire people,
And did you learn any lessons from filming this documentary?
Oh, many. I'm really grateful about this journey and this path, with all these people that we were able to meet, all this journey of preparing everything, because the filming part is like the quote unquote the easy part, right? You show up, you do your best, you work around nature, you work around people's schedules and so on. But preparing this, making sure that we have the right storylines and the right people, it was like a blessing to me. It gave me like a very direct kind of way to approach something that you can always get better at, and as a storyteller, and probably Jasper can talk about this stuff too, because he's in the same storytelling world, right? We like to feed ourselves from local stories, from local knowledge and local people. That's kind of like our field, we're driven to learn from others, so that was my journey of like an insane amount of learning experiences in many areas. Even in my own field, I had many challenges to film this, so I believe that I became maybe a better filmmaker because it was very complex to shoot some of these segments, so we were forced to really think out of the box with how.
Yeah, I can definitely get that. Jasper, I know that Finland is spearheading dam removal in Europe. What are your future plans to mainstream this movement in your country, if you have any?
Well, Finland is a funny country because we've got in terms of dam removals, because we have a really strict legislation protecting dams, and pretty much every single other country in Europe has a much more favorable legislation when it comes to dam removals. Because in Finland, when you get a license to build a dam in the 1800s, for example, or in the case of Hiitolanjoki Dam that was in Pau's news 100 years ago, those licenses are eternal. The authorities, the law, they can't touch them. Whereas in most other countries, every few decades, every 20 years, every 15 years, depending on the country, you can go back and check the environmental licensing of those dams. Finland doesn't have this. So it's a little bit of a miracle that we've ended up being a front runner in the dam removal world, because it is a tough country from legislation perspective to have dams removed. But now that this Hiitolanjoki dam removal, the second one just happened, and the first one obviously is in Dam Busters. It's created such an immense amount of positive media attention. I mean, full 2-page spreads in the biggest newspapers in Finland, and TV news and tabloids and entertainment news, and you name it. All of a sudden, dam removal has become sexy, and it's become a bit of a snowball effect. When people see the great news coming, environmental news coming from these dam removals that are successful. Today, when people watch the news, anything related to nature and the environment is sad, and we're talking destruction and grim news. What is this planet going to turn into? What kind of planet are we leaving to the next generations? But with dam removals, the news are so incredibly inspiring and incredibly positive that people, all of a sudden have this newfound hope that actually the destruction caused by humans can be repaired, and it can be repaired in quite simple ways and really effectively. The results are immediate and the results are incredible. So I see that every single dam removal just adds to this snowball effect, and certainly in Finland, it's reached a point of no return in a positive way.
And definitely that's what we want and wish and hope for all of Europe. So I think that Finland is such a great example that we all need to be looking at. I know that you have to leave very, very shortly. So I'm just going to ask you very, very quickly, what do you think that every single person can do towards this goal, towards making dam removal sexy in our own countries, let's say that?
Well, of course, it always depends on what the position of that individual is. Some people have more power when it comes to politics and stuff, but from the moment I started campaigning for healthier rivers and healthier fisheries, my biggest advice to people was to share these positive news on social media, and to have as many people, encourage as many people as possible to share them. And it really has made an immense difference in Finland. The fact that we've been able to mobilize a lot of people who are interested in these news pieces, news articles, and the state of our rivers, to every single time there's something positive coming out, to share them and share them to as big of a public as possible. I mean, it may sound like a simple piece of advice, but in Finland, it has been incredibly important for the awareness and for the effects of this movement.
And that's actually why it's so important to have tools like this documentary, because it's a way of impacting masses, right? So Franco, please tell us, where can we watch the movie? Where can we find it? How can we use it?
Yeah, so the movie's right now in a platform called Show and Tell, which is essentially like a virtual cinema that you go, you pay a ticket, you watch, they give you access to it. And we're just starting the process. We are having several screenings around Europe, premieres for a few months, and next year it will land on a streaming platform So it will have more like a worldwide reach, right? But for now, we are in the beta release, which is important to build momentum. Some film festivals that we can reveal now because usually the info gets said by them, are picking up the film too. So it's going to be exciting news, and that's probably the most immediate ways to go on the show and tell platform that I think it will share on the chat. And if I can just interject and say something to what you were asking, Jasper, I think the film says this, if we think big picture, the job of our generation is to restore nature, and that alone is something that I just don't want to have any more reflections about it. Not even just people think about it. How big is this, that we are at this historical pivotal moment, that the planet is in danger and we can have the means and the energy and the vibe to actually restore it or do what we can. So that is something huge that the Finnish, understood very well. And it was like super inspiring for me to participate in the filming over there.
Perfect. And guys, thank you so much for your time today, for being here, for energizing us with all of this. And really, really, I cannot thank you enough. So
thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna move along and I'm gonna skip to interviewing someone that's in Estonia right now. Tanel Adar from the Ministry of Environment. Tanel, are you there? Oh, perfect, you are. Tanel is a senior officer at the Fishery Resources Department of the Ministry of Environment. Hi, hello, welcome.
Good evening, everybody, and really, really big. Hello, do you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, perfectly. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me, and what a great introductions from you, Rita, from Jasper, from Franco, Pao. Thank you so much, Herman. Thank you for letting all of this happen and bringing everybody together. Always, what a great company here tonight, and I'm really, really thankful to be here.
Oh, no, thank you. And you know that Pao, Pao is a great fan of yours. So I think that she will be enjoying our conversation even more. And I'm going to start with asking that Estonia recently joined the dam removal movement, right? So how did you begin this and how difficult were the first steps?
Well, the mutual feelings, Pao. I'm really a big fan of you, first of all. Second of all, yeah, the dam removal movement. Once again, I'm from ministry, so from the legislative side point of view. We are part of the dam removal for about 13 years. This is the time that Estonia implemented the water, let's call it water law. And since then, basically, some of the rivers are now under the necessity of dam removal, or any new dams cannot be built, or any new dams cannot be renewed anymore. So in dam removal, in my opinion, there are three big steps. The one is the change of mindset, means that the publicity, the politicians, everybody needs to understand the problem and accept the problem. Second is the law. You need to generate the lawful ground to dam removal. As Jasper said, that in Finland it is very difficult because of the water permits being eternal. In Estonia, we have the same way, though we tackle the problem in the case that the nationally important rivers are now on restriction of new damming or any restoring of old dams. Also, the fish passages are a necessity in salmonid rivers. So I would say that dam removal in Estonia is very, very, very fast now because the 13 years of implementing the new laws in Estonia is very easy. The bureaucracy is very easy. Basically, what I can do is I can call the minister himself and ask for a favor that please, I have a problem with this dam, and the minister himself calls the dam owner. In Estonia, this is really possible, and this is really happening. So I don't think in any
That's exactly what I was going to say. I don't think that's possible anywhere else in Europe, I can imagine, but that's really, really amazing. So you can actually almost have a flexible plan to removing dams and restoring rivers? Do you think that happens? Are things as flexible as that?
I do believe so, because if we take a look at the numbers, then in Estonia we have about 1,000 man-made dams and about 125 rivers are prioritized river. We call them salmonid rivers, which means they are for trout, for salmon, and for some other species grading and so on. So those 125 rivers are priorities of Estonia. And on those rivers, we have 126 dams. Out of those 126 dams, only 47 remained illegal with the beginning of this year, which about 20 will be taken care of within this year and next year. So can you imagine the situation that we have 125 prioritized rivers in Estonia, and only about 21 illegal dams will be remaining on them, on those rivers within the next few years. So, I mean, taking a look at the number of those 20 dams, comparing this with the overall number of damming in Estonia, with 1,000, we have 2% of dams which are governmentally or nationally important and are illegal. So, I mean, we have really taken a huge step, and the average dam removal pace is about 8 dam removals per year. If we take a look at the overall number, which
and
we
it's
do
really
still
a
have left.
It's really a testimony to the power of the dam removal movement, right? So I'm in awe of the work that you guys are doing. So at a rate of 8 dams per year, are there, how many years until there's none left? Do you have any removals planned for the near future? Tell us a little bit about that.
The top cherries have been picked, so now the very strong ones, the ones that are very well lawyered up, those dams still remain. For example, one of the biggest in this, we have at the moment 5 different court cases going on, only with that one dam owner. So this is very struggling for us. But I mean, 20 dams remaining on prioritized river, this is a very small number. We fight on, and with the new year of this water frame directive and new implementation period, which ends in 2027, by that time, actually, those should be, well, on paper at least, they should be taken care of. So we really do hope so, because EU really grants us a great opportunity for financing. So I don't see any more problem. And we have already done a very great step that the NGOs of dam removal have really stepped out, and there has been a special NGO for every bigger dam removal. So can you imagine that people themselves fight for dam removal? And if there is the voice of the people and it gets to the ministry, so the ministry makes what people want, the minister himself grants the will of the people, and if the dam removal is the will, then the dam removal laws will be implemented, which is just great.
Absolutely. And Tana, I know that there was a question, but we'll liaise, because we're kind of running out of time. We'll liaise with the person who made the question later on so that he will get a reply. Thank you so much for your time tonight and for sharing these great news with us. It was so interesting to talk to you. As we are just about to end, I just want to check back with Seppo. Seppo, are you there?
Hello.
I hope
I'm here.
Yeah, I hope we managed to inspire you today. Tell us, are you ready to share what you've created?
Yes, I can do it. First, I want to thank all these great persons that talk to us now. And for example, Michal from European Parliament, he talked about this problem of the scale. It's in Finland too. It has been very positive trend with these small dams that are not so important for the power companies, and they are now removed or they are taken away. But with the big dams and big rivers, we have big problems. But I have already done this kind of drawing before, so I I didn't do it. I did something for filmmaking, and I can show it now. Can I share the screen?
Really looking forward to it. Tell us.
Can I share the screen now? Is it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So this was the work that you have been doing throughout all of the conversations that we had tonight, right?
Yes. Wait a minute. I started again. Okay. Can you see it? Okay. Because for some reason I can't. Do you see the animation? No.
Well, yeah, I think it's actually frozen.
Yes, yes. I think
I don't see the animation.
Yes,
yeah, it's
yes.
frozen, right?
I tried to start again, but for some reason, because
well, can you close the animation and then open it up again? Is it possible? Maybe
yes,
it will
I
start.
can try. Okay, I can do it so that.
Sure.
Let's try again.
Absolutely, we're all very curious. So.
Because it should be just.
No worries. Take your time. Take your
Yes,
time.
yes.
We're going to end after you. You're going to be the final moment, so it's fine.
Yes. And now I try to share the screen.
And I can also just go ahead and tell people that after tonight, we will also be sharing the cartoon that you've created, the animation, the video and the cartoon on the Dam Removal Europe website. So people will also have an opportunity to see it there later on. Now we can see it. Wonderful. Oh, wow.
I speed it up a little so that it don't take all day.
Yeah, of course, makes sense. So tell us a little bit about the character that you just built here.
It's about the filmmaking, and if the director would be a fish.
Yeah, I can see. I love the beret. Perfect. And he's looking at a dam. Is that it from what I can see?
Yes, yes, right.
Okay, so he's looking, he's kind of creating a movie, right?
Yes, and kind of planning the scenes and maybe we can find out. I have not seen the film, but I look forward to it and hope.
I think it might be a good thing that you haven't seen it yet, because then you're coming into this as a blank canvas, right?
Yes.
So maybe, who knows, you can even sum it up in a beautiful image without even seeing it. Oh, wow, it's amazing to see you in action, to see what you're creating right here. It's really, I'm always in awe of cartoonists because I have no skills in terms of painting or drawing. So this for me is a beauty to watch.
It still takes some time, but you can talk if you have something in mind, because I do not touch it anymore because it can freeze if I do something.
Of course, no, absolutely.
But it don't take very long time, so it's almost ready. So.
Okay, and tell us what is it written there? Okay.
Well, you can
the film
see
will be
just wait.
Exactly.
Yes, documentaries and all this public information is very, very important and good for this movement, because if people don't know about rivers and if they just have seen these dams and these artificial lakes, they don't know what they have lost when they have lost the free-flowing river.
So I just realized what you've written, and I love it. I love it. The film would be more lively and fluent if we could just cut this part away. Wouldn't it? In every single river, isn't this absolutely true? It will always be more lively and fluent, always. It's amazing how you could just sum it up, this entire conversation, in this. This is beautiful art. Thank you so much. It's so clever, like people are saying in the chat. It's so clever. It's really a great piece of art. Thank you for being here and for creating this for us and for showing this. It's wonderful. So just as a reminder,
it was fun. I like it.
Yeah, true. Just as a reminder, go visit Seppo's work at seppo.net. You can also check this cartoon at the DRE website. And I'm just gonna end my contribution here, but I am going to call on Neja after I leave. I just want to say thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for the invite to World Fish Migration Foundation, for the invite to be hosting this cafe. It was a real treat, a real pleasure, and I hope to see many of you in dam removal actions throughout the rest of the year. Neja, come on board and wrap this up.
Thank you, Rita. So as you can see, it got darker. The evening is starting. Thank you very much, everyone, to joining us. It was really interesting cafe. I would like to invite everyone, if you would like to join Removal Europe as a support organization, or if you would like to support us with a donation, you can go to our website, damremoval.eu. And yeah, it's also a moment to thank to our speakers. It was really interesting. Thank you so much for taking your time. To organizers, great job, guys. Really proud of you, team. And of course, also to our sponsors and all of you in the audience. So this third cafe was organized by World Fish Migration Foundation on behalf of Dam Removal Europe Coalition, with the sponsorship of Open Rivers Fund, a program of resources legacy fund, which is supported by the William and Flora Havlet Foundation, and of course with the in-kind support which was provided by Rewilding Europe and WWF. So thank you, Rita. You did a great job. We really enjoyed the cafe, and yeah, I hope that we will continue with this series and see you all next year in the next cafe. Yeah, so
thank you.
We have something special for the conclusion, let's say. So I will say goodbye. See you in the new year. Keep in touch, follow us, and yeah, enjoy the little surprise we have for you now at the very end. Good night.
Thank you, Neza.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Wade.
I've spent a lifetime being fascinated by fish.
Look at that, look at that, look at that!
Fish of all shapes and sizes in rivers all over the world. Today I'm closer to home on the River Kent in Cumbria in the north of England, and I'm fishing for Atlantic salmon. But I'm not doing very well. Am I losing my touch?
Or it could be something to do with that.
This is Boaston Weir. It was built 150 years ago, harnessing water power for a paper-making mill. Although salmon are famously good at getting over obstacles,
They would really struggle getting over this, even with the fish ladder there.
the thing is, though, structures like this are part of our industrial heritage, but they're also a potential problem for us. If they're not maintained, there's a risk that sometime in the future, they will fail.
And that's why all over the world, and particularly in the US and Europe, obsolete dams are being taken down.
And the pace is gathering because there's an unexpected bonus.
As well as allowing fish to swim free, removing dams restores whole stretches of river, both up and downstream, to a more natural and ecologically productive state.
And another thing, as rivers become less engineered, they become more able to absorb the effects of increasingly extreme rainfall.
Hence what's about to happen here. It's one of the biggest dam removals so far in the UK. I guess I just bash it with that somewhere in the middle. Wonder who's got the keys. Turns out this is one of those things you've got to leave to people who actually know what they're doing.
Which makes sense if you think about it, because these highly complex hydrological and biological systems that we call rivers really are the arteries of our planet. And although it might not look like it, what's happening here is life-changing surgery.
And the results should be visible very quickly, within just a few years, because the thing about rivers, like all living systems, is that if you work with them and give them a helping hand, they will take over and do most of the work themselves, restoring the biodiversity that's been lost. And if I come back then, there's a better chance that the salmon will be here too.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye from Spain.